The message came at midnight, as bad news often did. Commander Lyra Vance sat alone in her small quarters on Station Meridian, reading the words on her screen for the third time. The Galactic Concord had selected her for something called the Crucible. The message called it an honor. Lyra knew better. She had made enemies. Too many victories against species who thought humans were nothing more than soft animals. Too many times she had proven them wrong. Now, those enemies had found a way to kill her that looked like a gift. The Crucible was ancient. The Valkyrie Arbiters had created it thousands of years ago as a test. Any species that wanted respect in the galaxy could send their best warrior to prove their worth. The rules were simple. Survive on a death world for 30 rotations. Reach the Spire of Judgment at the center. Do it alone with nothing but a knife. Most who entered never came back. Lyra stood and walked to the small window. Outside, stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, her daughter Maya was sleeping in a school on Earth, dreaming of a mother who might never come home. She could refuse. The thought crossed her mind like a shadow. But if she refused, humanity would lose face before the entire Concord. Her enemies would say that humans were cowards, that they were not worthy of the territory they had claimed, that they were nothing. Lyra closed her eyes. She thought of Maya's face. She thought of every human who had ever been told they were too weak, too soft, too small to matter. She opened her eyes and typed her acceptance. 3 days later, she stood in the Hall of Arbiters on the Valkyrie homeworld. The chamber was made of living crystal that hummed with energy. Light bent strangely here, making everything look like a dream that might shatter at any moment. The Valkyrie themselves were tall and thin. Their bodies formed from the same crystal as their buildings. They had no faces, only smooth surfaces that glowed with inner light when they spoke. They moved like music made solid, beautiful, and cold. 100 representatives from 100 species filled the hall. Lyra felt their eyes on her. Some looked curious. Most looked hungry. They had come to watch the soft little human accept her death sentence. The High Arbiter floated forward. Its voice filled the chamber like bells ringing underwater. Commander Lyra Vance of Earth, you have been selected for the Crucible. Do you understand what this means? I do, Lyra said. Her voice was steady. She was proud of that. You will be sent to Obsidian 9. You will have 30 planetary rotations to reach the Spire of Judgment. You may carry only a survival blade. No technology. No communication devices. No assistance of any kind. I understand. If you succeed, humanity will be recognized as a worthy species of the Concord. If you fail, the High Arbiter paused. There is no need to speak of failure. The representatives laughed. The sound was not kind. Lyra kept her face calm. She had learned long ago that showing fear only made predators hungry. After the ceremony, she was walking through the crystal corridors when a voice stopped her. Human. She turned. One of the arbiters stood behind her. This one was smaller than the others, its crystal body darker, shot through with veins of deep purple. It introduced itself as Soreth. You have questions, Lyra said. It was not a question. Soreth moved closer. Its surface glowed softly as it spoke. I have studied the Crucible for many cycles. I have watched thousands attempt it. I have seen warriors with armor that could stop plasma fire. I have seen predators with claws that could tear through steel. I have seen minds that could kill with a thought. And the survival rate across all species is 3.7%. Soreth paused. For soft tissue bipeds like yourself, the rate is 0. None have ever completed the trial. Not in 900 years. Lyra looked at the alien for a long moment. Then she smiled. Thank you for telling me. You do not seem disturbed by this information. I am very disturbed, Lyra admitted. But I have learned that being disturbed and giving up are two different things. Soreth studied her. Without a face, it was impossible to read its expression. But something in its posture changed, became less certain. "Your species confuses me," it said finally. "You have no natural weapons. No poison, no armor, no psychic abilities. Your bodies are fragile. Your lifespans are short. By every measure we use, you should be prey, not predators. And yet here I am," Lyra said, "standing in your hall, accepting your challenge. Yes, here you are." Soreth moved back. "I will be observing your trial personally. I wish to understand how you die. Maybe you will learn something else instead, such as—" Lyra turned and began walking away. Over her shoulder, she said, "Maybe you will learn how I live." The transport to Obsidian 9 took 2 days. Lyra spent the time studying everything she could about the planet. The information was limited. The Valkyrie believed that too much knowledge would make the trial unfair. What she learned was not encouraging. Obsidian 9 had no gentle places. The atmosphere was thin and burned the lungs. The rain was acidic enough to irritate skin after long exposure. Volcanic activity kept the ground unstable. The native life had evolved to kill anything that moved. The planet was a machine designed to create death. And it was very good at its job. On the final night before landing, Lyra sat in her small cabin and recorded a message for Maya. "Hey, baby girl," she said to the camera. "By the time you see this, I will be far away. I want you to know that I chose this. Not because I want to leave you, but because sometimes we have to do hard things to protect the people we love." She paused, fighting the tears that wanted to come. "The galaxy thinks humans are weak. They think we are soft and small and easily broken. I am going to show them they are wrong. And if I do not come back, I want you to remember that your mother never stopped fighting, never stopped trying, never gave up." She ended the recording and sat in silence. Outside, Obsidian 9 grew larger in the viewport. It was black and red, wrapped in clouds that flickered with constant lightning. It looked like something from a nightmare. Lyra stood and checked her suit one final time. In a few hours, she would step onto that world with nothing but a knife and her will to live. She thought about what Soreth had said. 0% survival rate. 900 years of failure. Then she thought about Maya's smile, about Earth's blue skies, about every human who had ever been told something was impossible and done it anyway. 0%, she whispered to herself, until someone makes it 100. The transport began its descent. The transport did not land gently. It dropped Lyra from 50 meters and flew away before she hit the ground. She rolled when she landed, just like training had taught her. The impact still knocked the breath from her lungs and sent pain shooting through her shoulder. For a long moment, she lay on the black rock and stared at the red sky, wondering if she had already broken something. Then she forced herself to stand. The air hit her like a punch. It was hot and thin, filled with sulfur and ash. Each breath burned. Her eyes watered immediately. In the distance, a volcano glowed orange against the dark clouds. Welcome to Obsidian 9. She checked her equipment. One survival blade strapped to her thigh. One basic suit, designed to protect against minor environmental hazards. No food, no water, no communication device, no map. The Spire of Judgment was somewhere to the north. That was all she knew. Lyra picked a direction and started walking. The first day nearly killed her twice. The ground was unstable, riddled with hidden vents that could spray boiling steam without warning. She learned to read the subtle signs of heat rising from the rock. She learned to test each step before committing her weight. By evening, she found water. A small stream ran through a crack in the volcanic rock, The water was hot and tasted like metal, but it was not poisonous. She drank carefully, forcing herself to take small sips, even though her throat screamed for more. That night, she found a small cave and blocked the entrance with rocks. Sleep came in short bursts, interrupted by strange sounds from outside. Things moved in the darkness of Obsidian 9. Things that were hungry. The second day, she lost her knife. She was crossing a river of warm water when the current caught her. It was stronger than it looked, fed by underground volcanic heat that created strange flows. She went under twice before she managed to grab a rock and pull herself to the other side. Her knife was gone. Swept away in seconds. For a long moment, Lyra sat on the bank and felt despair wash over her. The knife was her only tool, her only weapon. Without it, she was truly naked on this hostile world. Then she looked at the ground around her. Black volcanic glass lay everywhere, sharp as broken bottles. Obsidian. The planet was named for it. She spent the next 3 hours learning to shape it. She cut her hands many times. Blood dripped onto the black rock. But by the end, she had a rough blade, a scraper, and several sharp points that could serve as spear tips. The planet had tried to take her weapon. She had made new ones from the planet itself. On the 5th day, she met the hunter's dot. They came out of the ash clouds like nightmares made real. 6 of them, each the size of a large dog but built like wolves with too many joints. Their eyes glowed with heat, and their mouths were filled with teeth that looked like obsidian shards. Lyra ran. She ran until her lungs burned and her legs shook. She climbed rocks and jumped cracks and pushed her body past every limit she knew. The pack stayed with her, patient and relentless. They hunted her for 3 days. On the 3rd night, exhausted beyond reason, Lyra stopped running. She found a narrow canyon with only one entrance and built a fire at the mouth. The creatures circled outside, their eyes reflecting the flames. She studied them through the fire. She watched how they moved, how they communicated with clicks and growls, how the largest one always led, the alpha. Kill the alpha and the pack might break. She spent the night preparing. She gathered more obsidian. She built a simple trap using loose rocks balanced on a ledge. She hardened wooden spears in the fire dot at dawn. She made her move. She left the canyon slowly, letting them see her. The alpha came first, as she had known it would. It was faster than the others, more aggressive. It wanted the kill for itself. Lyra led it under the ledge and triggered her trap. The rocks fell. The alpha screamed. Before it could recover, Lyra was on it with her obsidian blade, stabbing and cutting until the creature stopped moving. The other 5 circled her, uncertain now. Their leader was dead. The small soft creature had killed it. Lyra stood over the body, covered in black blood, and screamed at them. It was not a word. It was something older than words. A sound that came from the deepest part of her. The part that refused to die. The pack fled. That night, she cooked the alpha's meat over the fire and ate until her stomach hurt. The flesh was tough and tasted strange, but it was protein. It was survival. She was learning the rules of Obsidian 9, and she was winning. Over the following days, she found the others. The Corvith warrior had been torn apart by something large. His armor, which could stop plasma fire, had been peeled open like paper. Lyra took what supplies she could find and moved on. The Mindari strategist had simply stopped. She found his body sitting against a rock, eyes open, face peaceful. His species relied on psychic energy to function. On Obsidian 9, with no other minds to draw from, he had simply faded away. The Dross, a massive creature built like a tank, had starved. His species could only eat certain minerals, and this planet did not have them. All his strength had meant nothing. Lyra buried none of them. She did not have time, but she remembered their faces and she learned from their failures. The Corvith had trusted his armor instead of learning the land. The Mindari had not adapted his needs. The Dross had not been flexible enough to find new food sources. They had all been stronger than her, faster than her, better equipped by nature than her dot, and they were all dead. Lyra walked on. She talked to herself as she walked, recording observations in her memory. She told jokes that no one would hear. She described the landscape to Maya, as if her daughter could see through her eyes. The sky is red today, baby girl. Like sunset at home, but angrier. There is a mountain to the east that keeps grumbling. I think it is going to explode soon. I should probably move away from it. The talking helped. The silence of Obsidian 9 was heavy, pressing against her mind like deep water. Without something to break it, she might have gone mad like some of the others surely had. On day 12, Sorath's drone found her. The small device floated down from the clouds and hovered nearby, recording everything. Lyra ignored it at first. Then she waved. "Hello, Sorath. I am still alive. Sorry to disappoint." The drone said nothing. It just watched. "I know what you are thinking," Lyra continued, talking as she walked. "You are thinking that I am lucky, that I have survived by accident, that my death is still coming." She stopped and looked directly into the drone's lens. "But I want you to understand something. I am not lucky. I am not an accident. I am a human being, and we do not know how to quit." She turned and kept walking north. The drone followed. By day 15, Lyra Vance had become something new. The woman who had landed on Obsidian 9 was gone. In her place stood a creature forged by fire and hardship. Her body was leaner, stripped of all softness. Her movements were careful and efficient, wasting no energy. Her eyes constantly scanned the horizon, reading the land like a language she had learned in blood. She had mapped the territory around her route. She knew where the predators hunted and when. She knew which fungi could be eaten and which would kill. She had built 3 hidden caches of supplies along her path north, each one containing dried meat, obsidian tools, and filtered water. The rain on Obsidian 9 was acidic. Lyra had learned this the hard way, waking up with burns on her exposed skin. Now she filtered all water through layers of charcoal and cloth torn from her suit. It took time, but it kept her alive. She had learned to read the volcanoes too. The ground told stories if you knew how to listen. Certain vibrations meant an eruption was coming. Certain smells meant poisonous gas was leaking from below. Lyra had developed a sense for these warnings that went beyond thought. Her body knew when to move before her mind understood why. The drone still followed her. Sorath was watching. The entire Galactic Concord was watching. But Lyra had stopped thinking about them. The only thing that mattered was the next step, the next breath. The next day, on the morning of day 16, she found Varric. He was lying in a shallow cave, hidden behind a fall of rocks. She almost walked past him, but something made her stop. A sound. A small pained breath that did not belong to the wind. Lyra approached carefully, her obsidian blade ready. What she found was not what she expected. The Deshan was young, barely past whatever his species considered adulthood. His scales, which should have been bright blue, were dull and gray. His left leg was bent at a wrong angle, clearly broken. But the worst was the wound on his side. Something had bitten him, and the bite had become infected. Dark lines spread from the wound like the branches of a dead tree. He looked up at her with eyes full of pain and fear. "Human," he whispered. The word was not friendly. Lyra understood. The Deshans were traditional enemies of humanity. They had fought 2 wars against Earth in the last century. Thousands had died on both sides. The hatred ran deep. More than that, she knew who had voted for her selection. The Dacian representative had been among the loudest, voices calling for a human to face the crucible. This young male's people had sent her here to die. Protocol was clear. Competitors in the crucible could not aid each other. Resources were limited. Every piece of food shared was a piece not eaten. Every moment spent helping was a moment not moving toward the spire. Wisdom was also clear. Varric was dying. Helping him would slow her down and use supplies she might need later. It made no logical sense to risk her survival for an enemy. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Then she put away her blade and knelt beside him. "This is going to hurt," she said. Varric's eyes went wide. "What are you doing?" "Saving your life. Now hold still." She worked quickly. She set his leg using straight branches and strips of cloth, apologizing each time he screamed. She cleaned his wound with water she could not spare. She used a hot stone to burn away the infected flesh, holding him down while he thrashed and cursed in his own language. When it was done, Varric lay trembling, covered in sweat. Lyra gave him water and a piece of dried meat. "Why?" he asked. His voice was weak but confused. "My people, we sent you here. We wanted you to die." Lyra sat back against the cave wall. Outside, the red sky was darkening toward night. "I know," she said. "Then why help me?" She thought about the question. She thought about all the reasons she should have walked past this cave. All the logic and protocol, and old hatred. "My people have a saying," she said finally. "Spite makes poor fuel, but kindness can start fires." Varric stared at her. "I do not understand. Neither do I, sometimes." Lyra smiled. It was a tired smile, but real. Humans are strange. We hold grudges for generations, but we will also give our last meal to a stranger. We build weapons that can destroy worlds, but we will risk our lives to save a single child. We are walking contradictions. That makes no sense. No, but it is who we are. She checked his bandages one more time. "Your leg will heal if you stay off it. The infection should clear now that the bad flesh is gone. You will live, if you are careful. I cannot reach the spire like this." "No, but you can survive until the trial ends. When time runs out, they will collect the living as well as the dead." She stood and gathered her things. She had stayed too long already. The spire was still many days away, and the hardest part of the journey was still ahead. Varric watched her prepare to leave. Something changed in his eyes. The fear faded. The hatred followed it. "Human?" he said. "Lyra Vance," she looked back. "If you survive this, I will tell my people what you did. I will tell them that a human saved my life when she had every reason to let me die." He paused. "I do not know if it will change anything, but I will tell them." Lyra nodded. "That is all I can ask." She left the cave and continued north. The days that followed were the hardest yet. The terrain changed as she climbed toward the volcanic highlands. The air grew thinner. The ground grew more unstable. New predators appeared, larger and more aggressive than anything she had faced before. And above all, the spire appeared on the horizon. It rose from the center of the planet like a finger pointing at the sky. Black stone shot through with veins of glowing crystal, built by the Valkyrie in an age before most current species existed. It was beautiful and terrible, a monument to trials endured and lives lost. Lyra stared at it for a long time. "I see you," she whispered. "I am coming." She made camp that night in a small hollow between two rocks. The wind screamed outside, carrying ash and heat. Lyra ate her last piece of meat and drank the last of her filtered water. She would need to find more tomorrow. She thought about Varric. She wondered if he was still alive. She wondered if her choice to help him had been wise or foolish. In the end, she decided it did not matter. Being human meant making choices that did not always make sense. It meant following something deeper than logic. Call it compassion. Call it stubbornness. Call it hope. Whatever it was, it had kept her people alive through ice ages and plagues and wars that should have destroyed them. It had carried them from caves to stars. It had brought her here to this nightmare world. Still breathing, still fighting, still refusing to become something less than human just to survive. The drone floated outside her hollow, recording as always. "Sorth," Lyra said to it. "I know you are watching. I know you are trying to understand. So let me tell you something." She leaned toward the drone, her face lit by the glow of her small fire. "You designed this trial to test the strength and speed and natural weapons. You measure species by their claws and armor and poison. But you missed something." The drone was silent, but she felt it listening. "You missed the things that cannot be measured. Kindness, hope, the willingness to help an enemy because it is right, even when it is not smart. These are weapons too, Sorth. They are the weapons that built civilizations when we were still soft and weak and prey for everything larger than us." She smiled into the lens. "And they are the weapons that are going to carry me to your spire." She lay down and closed her eyes. Tomorrow, the final climb would begin. The volcano erupted on day 20-2. Lyra was climbing a ridge when the world shook. The mountain to the east, the one she had been watching since her first week, finally released its anger. Fire and rock exploded into the sky. A river of glowing orange began flowing down its slopes, and it was flowing directly toward the path she had planned to take. She stood on the ridge and watched her route disappear under liquid fire. 3 days of careful planning, gone in moments. The spire stood to the north, still visible through the smoke and ash, but now there was a sea of lava between her and her goal. "Okay," she said to herself. "Find another way." She spent the next day searching. The lava had reshaped the landscape. Canyons she had mapped were now filled with molten rock. Paths she had memorized were buried under ash. The air was worse than ever, thick with particles that made every breath feel like swallowing needles. On day 23, she found a possible route. A deep canyon that curved around the lava flow. It would add 2 days to her journey. It would take her through territory she had not scouted. But it was the only way forward. She entered the canyon at dawn. The walls rose high on either side, black rock that seemed to swallow light. The ground was covered in loose stones that shifted under her feet. Every step echoed between the walls. Every sound bounced back a dozen times, making it impossible to hear what might be waiting ahead. On the second day in the canyon, she found the tracks. They were enormous. Each print was wider than her entire body. The claws had dug deep into the stone, leaving grooves that spoke of terrible weight and strength. Something lived in this canyon. Something huge. Lyra followed the tracks carefully, mapping the territory. She found a cave filled with bones. She found scratch marks on the walls where the creature had sharpened its claws. She found a second set of tracks, slightly smaller, that moved in a different pattern. 2 of them. There were 2 of them. On the evening of the second day, she saw the first one. It emerged from a crack in the canyon wall as the sun set. The creature was something between a bear and a centipede, with a massive body supported by a dozen armored legs. Its head was mostly mouth, filled with rows of teeth that looked like obsidian blades. Eyes like burning coals stared out from either side of its skull. It was the largest predator Lyra had seen on Obsidian 9. It was possibly the largest predator she had ever seen anywhere, and it knew she was there. Creature turned toward her hiding spot. It breathed deep, tasting the air. A low rumble came from its throat, something between a growl and the sound of rocks grinding together. Lyra did not move. She did not breathe. After a long moment, the creature turned and continued down the canyon. It had not spotted her. Not yet, but she had to pass through its territory to reach the spire. She spent the night watching. She learned the creature's patterns. It hunted in the early morning and again at dusk. It slept in the deepest part of the canyon during midday. Its territory overlapped with the smaller ones, but they avoided each other carefully. They were rivals. They both wanted the same hunting ground, but neither was willing to fight for it. Lyra smiled in the darkness. On day 25, she made her move. She had found where the smaller creature slept. She had gathered stones and coated them with the blood and scent of a kill she had made the day before. Now she crept through the canyon in the early morning light, moving from shadow to shadow, barely breathing. She reached the smaller creature's territory. It was sleeping in a hollow, its armored sides rising and falling with slow breaths. Lyra threw the scented stones. She threw them hard, scattering them across the entrance to the hollow, across the territory markers the creature had left. Then she ran. The smaller creature woke with a roar. It smelled the intruder. It smelled the challenge. It emerged from its hollow just as the larger creature came to investigate the noise. They met in the narrow part of the canyon. Lyra did not stay to watch. She heard the battle behind her as she ran. The screams of two apex predators fighting for territory. The crash of armored bodies against stone walls. The ground shook with their violence. She was almost through the canyon when the larger creature caught her scent. It came after her with murder in its burning eyes. The smaller one was dead or dying behind it, but the winner was not finished. It had found the real intruder, the small soft thing that had tricked it. Lyra ran faster than she had ever run in her life. Her lungs screamed. Her legs burned. The canyon exit was ahead, just 100 meters, just 50, just 20. The creature was faster. It caught her with a swipe of its massive claw. The blow sent her flying. She hit the canyon wall and felt ribs crack. Pain exploded through her chest, so intense that her vision went white. When she could see again, the creature was standing over her. Its mouth opened, revealing rows and rows of teeth. Hot breath washed over her face, smelling of blood and rot. This is it, she thought. This is how it ends. Then something strange happened. The creature paused. It tilted its head, studying her. Those burning eyes looked into her own, and Lyra looked back without flinching. "Do it," she whispered, "or get out of my way." The creature rumbled. The sound was almost thoughtful. Then it turned and walked away. Lyra lay there for a long time, trying to understand what had happened. Had it decided she was not worth eating? Had her defiance confused it? Had something in her eyes told it that killing her would cost more than she was worth? She would never know. But she was alive. Getting up took forever. The pain in her chest was blinding. At least 2 ribs were broken, maybe more. Deep cuts from the creature's claws covered her side, bleeding freely. Moving made her want to scream. She moved anyway. Step by step, she walked out of the canyon. Step by step, she continued north. The drone found her an hour later. Sora's voice came through its small speaker. "You should have died 17 times by our calculations," it said. "You should have died when you lost your blade. You should have died when the pack hunted you. You should have died in that canyon just now. You have no natural weapons. No venom, no armor, no psychic abilities. You are soft and weak and fragile." Lyra kept walking. Each step sent agony through her ribs. "How are you still alive?" Sora asked. She stopped. She turned to face the drone. Blood dripped from her wounds onto the black rock. Her breath came in shallow gasps that hurt more than words could describe. "Because I decided to be," she said. The drone was silent. "Your calculations are wrong," Lyra continued. "They measure the wrong things. You count claws and armor and poison. But you do not count will. You do not count the decision to keep moving when your body begs you to stop. You do not count the refusal to accept that the universe gets to decide when you die. She started walking again. Humans have a word for this, she said over her shoulder. We call it stubbornness. It has killed us more often than it has saved us. But when it saves us completely. The spire rose ahead of her, closer now than ever. She could see the stairs at its base. She could see the platform at the top where survivors were meant to stand. 50 meters away, her legs gave out. She fell face first onto the black rock. The impact jarred her broken ribs, and this time she did scream. The pain was too much. Her body had nothing left. She tried to stand. Her legs would not obey. She tried to crawl. Her arms trembled, but pulled her forward. 1 meter, 2, 5. The spire waited. Lyra crawled. She crawled with broken ribs and bleeding wounds and lungs that could barely draw breath. She crawled because the alternative was dying, and she was not ready to die. Not today. Not here. Not when she was so close. The stairs were ahead. The platform was above. She reached the base of the spire as the sun set on day. 20-9. She had 1 day left. She started to climb. The stairs of the spire numbered exactly 1,000. Lyra knew this because she counted every single one. Each step was a battle. Each movement sent fire through her broken ribs. Her vision blurred with pain and exhaustion. Blood from her wounds left a trail on the black stone behind her, but she climbed. Step 100. Her legs shook so badly she had to use her arms to pull herself up. Step 200. She fell twice and had to start the same stair again. Step 300. She started talking to Maya, describing the view as if her daughter could hear her. It is beautiful up here, baby girl. Terrible and beautiful. I can see the whole world below me. All those places that tried to kill me. All those miles I walked. They look so small from up here. Step 400. 500. The halfway point. The sun rose on day 30. Lyra watched it paint the sky in shades of red and orange and gold. She had never seen anything so beautiful. She had never been so tired. Step 600. 700. The air was so thin now that each breath was a fight. Her vision narrowed until she could only see the next stair in front of her. I do not know if I can do this, she whispered, but she took another step, and another. And another. At step 853, she collapsed. Her body simply stopped working. She lay on the cold stone, gasping, staring at the sky. Every part of her screamed for rest, for peace, for the sweet relief of giving up. 147 steps left. Just 140-7. It might as well have been 1,000,000. Lyra closed her eyes. She thought about Earth, about blue skies and green trees and the sound of rain on windows. She thought about Maya's laugh, about the way her daughter's hand felt in hers, about all the moments she might never have again. Then she thought about why she was here. She was here because her enemies wanted her to fail, because they wanted to prove that humans were nothing, that her species was weak and soft and unworthy of a place among the stars. She was here because humanity needed someone to show them they were wrong. Lyra opened her eyes. Not today, she said to the sky. I do not die today. She got up. She did not know how. There was no strength left in her body. No logical reason she should be able to move. But something deeper than muscle or bone pushed her to her feet. Something that had carried her ancestors across frozen wastelands and burning deserts. Something that had kept them going when every reasonable creature would have stopped. The will to live. The refusal to surrender. The stubborn, unreasonable, magnificent human belief that giving up is never the only option. Step 853. 50-4.850-5.850-6. The Valkyrie drone surrounded her now, recording from every angle. The entire Galactic Concord was watching. 100 species held their breath as the small, broken, bleeding human climbed toward the impossible. Step 900. Lyra could not see the top anymore. Her vision had narrowed to a single point of light ahead. She did not know if it was the platform or just her mind playing tricks. She did not care. She moved toward it. Step 950. Her body was not her own anymore. Something else was moving it. Something ancient and fierce and absolutely unwilling to stop. Generations of survivors lived in her blood, their voices whispering one word over and over again. Forward, forward, forward. Step 990. 10 steps left. Just 10. Lyra fell on step 994. She hit the stone hard and felt something crack in her chest. More ribs, probably. Maybe something worse. She could not get up this time. Her legs would not work. Her arms would not lift her, but she could still crawl. She dragged herself up the last 6 steps on her belly, leaving a trail of blood on the ancient stone. The edges of the stairs cut her hands and knees. She did not feel it. She did not feel anything except the burning meat too. Reach the top. Step 990-8. 990-9.1000. Lyra pulled herself onto the platform at the top of the spire. She rolled onto her back and stared at the sky, breathing in shallow gasps that rattled in her broken chest. She had done it. The first human to complete the crucible. The first soft-tissue biped in 900 years. The impossible had become real. Light filled the platform. The Valkyrie arbiters appeared, their crystal bodies glowing with energy. The High Arbiter floated forward, its form casting strange shadows across the stone. Commander Lyra Vance of Earth, it said, you have completed the crucible. You have proven your species worthy. Lyra tried to speak. Blood bubbled at her lips. She coughed and tried again. That is nice, she managed. Soreth moved closer. The purple veins in its body pulsed with something that might have been emotion. I have watched many trials, it said. I have seen warriors who should have succeeded fall. I have seen creatures with every advantage fail. I thought I understood what determines survival. It paused. I was wrong. What did I teach you? Lyra asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. You taught me that we have been measuring the wrong things. Soreth's glow intensified. We designed the crucible to test physical superiority, strategic brilliance, genetic fitness. You possess none of these advantages. Your body is fragile. Your senses are dull. You have no natural weapons. And yet here I am. And yet here you are. Soreth turned to the other arbiters. This human succeeded because of qualities we have no metrics for. She adapted when her tools failed. Earl continued when her body stopped. She showed mercy to an enemy when logic demanded otherwise. The High Arbiter spoke. What quality is this? What should we call it? Soreth looked back at Lyra. She called it stubbornness, it said. But I think it is something more. I think it is the ability to choose survival, not from instinct, but from purpose. She did not live because her body was built to live. She lived because she decided to. The arbiters were silent for a long moment. Finally, the High Arbiter spoke. The Galactic Concord officially recognizes humanity as a worthy species. Let this judgment be recorded and transmitted to all member worlds. Light blazed from the spire. Across 1,000 worlds, the message spread. The footage spread with it. 100 species watched the small human crawl up those final stairs. They watched her refuse to stay down when her body failed. They watched her reach the top through nothing but pure, absolute will. They watched her win. medical drones descended on the platform. Lyra felt them working on her broken body, stopping the bleeding, stabilizing her bones. She would live. She would heal. She would go home. "Sorth," she said, her voice fading as sedatives began to pull her under. The Arbiter moved closer. "Tell them," she whispered. "Tell all of them. The galaxy measures strength in claws and venom. Humans measure it differently. How do you measure it?" Lyra smiled. Her eyes closed. "One more step," she said. "Always one more step." She fell asleep on the platform at the top of the spire, surrounded by alien light, dreaming of home. 3 weeks later, she walked off a transport onto Earth soil. Her ribs were still healing. Her body was still covered in scars. But she walked on her own feet. Under her own power, Maya was waiting for her. Her daughter ran across the landing pad and threw herself into Lyra's arms. Lyra caught her despite the pain, holding her tight, breathing in the smell of her hair. "You did it," Maya whispered. "You actually did it. I told you I would. Were you scared?" Lyra thought about the question. She thought about all the times she had been certain she would die. All the moments when giving up seemed like the only reasonable choice. "Every day," she said honestly. "Every single day. Then how did you keep going?" Lyra knelt down so she could look into her daughter's eyes. "Because of you," she said. "Because I wanted to see you again. Because I wanted you to know that your mother never gave up, no matter how hard things got." Maya hugged her again, tighter this time. Around them, the world had changed. The footage from Obsidian 9 had been watched billions of times. Humans who had felt small and weak among the great species of the galaxy walked a little taller now. They had proof that their softness was not weakness, that their stubbornness was strength, that the things which made them different were the things which made them extraordinary. A reporter approached them as they walked toward the exit. "Commander Vance, what did you learn on Obsidian 9? Lyra paused. She looked at the camera. She thought about everything she had been through. The pain, the fear, the moments of impossible choice. "The galaxy measures strength in claws and venom," she said. "Humans measure it in one more step. Remember that. When everyone says you cannot continue, when your body tells you to stop, when the universe itself seems to want you to fail, take one more step, and then take another." She put her arm around Maya and walked into the sunlight. "That is how humans survive," she said. "That is how we have always survived. And that is how we always will." The stars waited above them. 1,000,000 worlds. 1,000,000 challenges. 1,000,000 opportunities to prove what humanity could be. Lyra Vance looked up at them and smiled. She was ready.